Fresh off her final breakup with Donald Trump and shortly before she leaves Congress prematurely, Marjorie Taylor Greene reappeared on 60 Minutes and burned the bridge, went scorched earth against Trump, calling him out for his mismanagement of the economy, the Epstein files, and pointing out that his rhetoric has directly led to death threats against her and her family, including her children. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, I definitely encourage you to check out the 60 Minutes interview in its entirety. We're only going to play a handful of clips, but this is a big deal. Marjorie Taylor Greene was once MAGA's strongest soldier, Donald Trump's most outspoken, highest fundraising MAGA cultist, the high priestess of the MAGA cult. And now we're seeing the results of the final separation. And, you know, she doesn't insult him the way he's insulting her, but she is going scorched earth and pointing out his weaknesses, his hypocrisy, and his lies on a whole host of issues. But I want to start with this one first.
After President Trump called me a traitor, I got a pipe bomb threat on my house, and then I got several direct death threats on my son.
On your son?
On my son.
You say the president put your life in danger. You blame him. You say he fueled a hotbed of threats against me, and that you blame him for the threats against your son.
The subject line for the direct death threats on my son was his words, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
I want to stop right there. I am not a parent. I've got 13 nieces and nephews. I've got 4 sisters. I don't have any kids of my own, nor do I want any. I can't imagine what it would be like to have a child and then for that child's life to be threatened at any age. And in this case, to know that the person who ultimately triggered the threats against my children would be the political and philosophical leader for whom I have spent so much time, effort, and energy supporting. I think she would be well within her rights to be much angrier than what she is. She should be. She should be angrier not only with Trump, but quite frankly, with herself. Marjorie Taylor Greene helped empower the very man who not only put her own life in danger, but the life of her children. And all of it was kind of eminently predictable. Maybe not that he would turn it on her, but that he was capable of such things because he did it all the time to Democrats, liberals, progressives, blue cities, blue states. And Marjorie Taylor Greene smiled and cheer-led every step of the way. She doesn't have a lot of credibility here in terms of she doesn't have the moral high ground. She contributed to this mess, and it should be pointed out to her. It has been pointed out to her, and should be continued. Like, hey, you were not only part of this, you were a major part of this. This is in part your fault, and you should feel shame and guilt and a sense of impropriety. I will point out that when she was asked about this on CNN about a month ago, I think, about the role she played in divisive politics, she admitted she screwed up and she apologized. That's good. That's really good. I still can't imagine what that would be like. Not just her anger at Trump, but at herself, knowing that she played a role in this.
Those are death threats directly fueled by President Trump. I told him, I told J.D. Vance, I told them all, sent those directly to them.
Response?
J.D. Vance replied back to me, we'll look into it. I got response back from President Trump that I will keep private, but it wasn't very nice.
Give us a hint of what the president said.
It was extremely unkind.
So that makes it even worse. So she does the smart thing. She's like, hey, look, you all are saying this shit, and it's impacting not just me, but my son, my children. Stop doing it. Can't imagine they looked that very hard into it. So J.D. Vance doesn't get really any credit for me. But for her to say that Trump gave an unkind response, again, it's not that I have a ton of sympathy or empathy for Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's a 50-year-old woman. She should have known better. And again, part of her path to redemption, if there's redemption for her, and I believe there's possibility, she should do what Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger did. You were allies of Trump. You turned the other way despite his obvious personality deficits. Every liberal predicted this. You should have shut the fuck up and listened to every liberal about this, Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, when they told you this was coming. But eventually you got off the train and they committed to supporting Democrats. That is the correct road to redemption. You should not be supporting the Republican Party. You should say, you know what? I screwed up. I've contributed to the death of the Republican Party, and now it's mutation into a cult of personality. My mea culpa is forever I will support Democrats. That's what they should be doing. Marjorie Taylor Greene should do that too. She's not there. She still criticizes the Democrats a lot. She I think still pulls her punches with Donald Trump. Because again, I just can't imagine, like, given the scale of that, the fact that she's still protecting his privacy when not only he did this, but is now doubling down on it. Like, and again, note the total indifference. A sane person would have been like, oh my God, Marge, listen, I'm pissed off at you. I felt that you betrayed me or whatever, but obviously I didn't mean to, direct any of this towards you, let alone your son. I apologize. Trump won't do that because he's a malignant narcissist and a sociopath and morally inferior to any Democratic president and politician who has ever lived. Here's another clip.
Are you saying that the president now is siding with those establishment powerful people and against MAGA?
He passed a crypto bill that helped out all the crypto donors. He has served Israel's interest, even attacking Iran. He has served Big Pharma. He didn't take away the COVID vaccines that we want to see taken away. So those are the areas that are still getting everything they want, while the people, we're still out here saying we want to see action on areas for the American people, not for the major industries. And
so she's admitting that Donald Trump is part of the swamp. Donald Trump is the swamp thing, the swamp creature, that he is a creature of the establishment. This is really good to hear this from, again, the person who was the most devout MAGA cultist of her day. Because those of us, again, who are sane and not hypocritical, we're paying attention to this and talking about this from the very beginning. When you're the president of the United States, by definition, you are not counterculture. By definition, you are not anti-establishment. You are the ultimate figure of the establishment. Donald Trump believes in tax cuts for corporations and the wealthiest Americans. That's establishment. Donald Trump has done nothing but expand the military budget. That's establishment. So he employs populist anti-establishment rhetoric, but he's a liar, and he governs very much in an establishment way, in the worst possible ways. So when people tell you, oh, Donald Trump's going to drain the swamp, Donald Trump's anti-establishment, that's just the laziest, stupidest analysis that a person can offer. It's just not true. And I appreciate that Marjorie Taylor Greene is finally admitting it. Again, I'll point out, this didn't change overnight. This has always been true. So all those years that Marjorie Taylor Greene was defending Trump as anti-establishment, she was lying or stupid, but obviously wrong. And again, every Democrat was right, and she was always wrong. So again, I would hope that somebody would press her on this. Like, these things that you're calling out about Trump, it's true, but it was always true. So were you just stupid or were you lying? Did you... Kind of like, again, with Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, every Republican who has since turned on Trump, we appreciate you, but were you stupid or lying? Which one was it? It's one of the two. And I think with Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, they were just lying to themselves and the American people, and eventually got fed up with it and said, I can't do this anymore. I can't pretend he's something he's not. It's causing a lot of harm to the country. I think her motivations are much more mixed. I think there's a genuine frustration. I think there's a genuine frustration on behalf of her constituents. I think she's also pissed off at Trump because he didn't have her back when she was thinking about running for Senate. I think there's like personal spite in there too. I think there's loyalty to her. I think it's all these things. But it'll be interesting to see her journey as it continues. One last clip, because Trump is, waging war on this idea that there's an affordability crisis in America. Here's what Marjorie Taylor Greene has to say about that.
affordability is a real issue.
President says it's not. Says it's a hoax, affordability.
It's one of the top issues, not only in my district, it's across the country.
So again, she's saying Donald Trump is either wrong, lying, or stupid, or all the above. Very fascinating stuff. Definitely encourage you to watch the full interview. Marjorie Taylor Greene on 60 Minutes. And again, it's just fascinating to me because the last time she was on 60 Minutes talking to Leslie Stahl, she was saying shit like the Democratic Party is an evil party of groomers and pedophiles. Again, disgusting, divisive rhetoric that she gleefully employed against Democrats a year or 2, 3 ago. I can't remember. It was 2 or 3 years ago. And now she's on 60 Minutes decrying Trump rightly. And again, I believe in roads to redemption. I believe in using wild card rogue Republicans against Trump and the MAGA movement. But it's stunning to me. It's stunning to me that even after all this that she's been through, the death threats and the threats against her son, I think she's still pulling her punches. But again, still going nuclear on Trump, still burning the bridge, nonetheless, calling him out for his lies, his hypocrisy, and his terrible management of major issues. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.